Welcome to EVE Online. I'm Major Freak. So, how to make it as simple as possible and as concise as possible about Blood Raider pirate strongholds. What, in order to prevent you from panicking, making mistakes, screwing up, and dying horribly. Every fob is different because of the RNG. So you could have a cakewalk with battleships and crews, and yeah, it's a piece of cake. And you could have a nightmare of all freaking omens and just, or even worse, ash. But yeah, it's just, it can go pear shaped so quickly because the hauler even spawns its own little kind of mini like frigates and wimpy little stuff, but sometimes it'll spawn battleships or omens uncommonly. And the worst, of course, is Balgorns. So yeah, if you've got, say, I'd lost a Lashak recently because I panicked. I had 4 Ashamus to start and a bunch of omens. And a Balgorn warped in because of the hauler. And the Balgorn for the hauler, unlike the defense fleet, I call it the response fleet for the hauler. The defense fleet had 4 Ashamus, and the response fleet had a Balgorn. And the Balgorn, unlike the defense fleet Balgorns that snipe with its brothers out at 100 kilometers, it goes close range. And at close range, it'll neutralize you. So you've got, yeah, it can get nutty. So just be aware that there are a few critical things you need to understand. One, when you get your bookmark between 1,500 and 8,000 kilometers, you're going to be safe. Okay? If you stay at that range, you're going to be safe from the fob spawning and the hauler spawning. The best way to deal with a fob as a noob when you're just getting started is to go in and neuter it. Go in and drain its cap. It funny enough, it will aggress on anything randomly. The actual pirate stronghold itself. Hard to change my nomenclature. I actually reworded it so there's no more forward operating base, which is nice. Finally. All right. So this sucker is going to aggress on you, and in 10 minutes exactly from now, it will drain its capacitor. So if you have a friend who's doing the scouting for you ahead of you and is going to get the bookmark, have him go a dock up, get into his pod, and warp to the fob, the pirate stronghold. As you think you're passing 10k kilometers, that's when you think you're crossing that threshold. Do your bookmark, and when you're doing your bookmark, like, have your finger over the enter button and have this cursor flashing right here. You want to see that flashing, and your finger over the left mouse button on submit. And as you cross 10k, you hit enter and click the button, and that should give you a approximate safe spot between 1,500 and 8,000 kilometers. It works well. Don't wait till you see the tick. Just when you see little cut to 40k, 20k, and then you do 10k. You don't wait till you see a number, and that'll give you your safe spot. And you're sitting here draining the fob. It's usually best to test your fob, your pirate stronghold bookmark, just to be safe. Oh, and you won't spawn anything unless you're within 365 kilometers. So you don't have to worry too much. It's just annoying if you get a wrong bookmark and you got to play grid foo because you can't see the fob from that distance. Yeah, it's really annoying. But anyways, so keep trying to keep it concise here. After 10 minutes, you will see a yellow blinky targeting thing, and that means it's completely drained. What you do at that point, when it's completely drained, you can warp in your DPS on top of the fob, and it can't do any more. It can't do any damage to you. So you can attack the fob as you're tanking the response fleet and the defense fleet. Yeah. Typically, it takes me about 15 minutes. So it's 50-50 whether I get the hauler. The hauler typically appears within 15 minutes. So it depends. I sometimes get away with it not appearing. But yeah. Anything longer, count on the hauler showing up and the response fleet spawning. It's typically frigates. You can ignore them. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's never boring. All right. So, yeah, once it drains a capacitor, all it's doing is sensor dampening you, and it's completely useless at that point. Always remember to warp your pod off. The rats, all the rats on field at a pirate stronghold will target anything, including pods. They have priority. They'll shoot paladin marauders first. They love eating on marauders. After that, they'll choose anything that's remote repping, and after that, rarely you'll get attacked by something. But yeah, we have a rule of thumb: if it's blingy, they'll shoot it. There are some advanced details, but that's pretty much the concise edition of what you need to do. Once you've made your bookmark, I don't really care. I can, my fits are good enough and my skills are good enough that I don't do the capacitor draining anymore. But you must, if you're new to fobs, you absolutely have to drain the fob. It will save your life in so many situations. All right. Warp away. Back there. Put my guys in. So basically what you want to do where the hell? What did I do? Am I still like freaking? What the hell? Oops. It was a dingbat. All right. So I'll warp my guys. You'll want your DPS people with the remote repping, with squad members to watch list. You don't need everybody to do that. And warp. Normally I'd squad warp, but yeah, kind of screwed up there. So you got everybody in warp. Wait till they land. Grid foo can play some weird stuff against anything but the guy you got the bookmark. I know, it's freaking weird. I do not know how to explain it, but yeah, there you go. So always make sure your bookmark person is on grid as you warp the rest of your guys there, and then you can go get your ship. Typically what I do is grab your ship first, come back to the bookmark. But yeah, if you're draining the fob, blah, blah, blah. What do you do? Yeah, there's various. What I would used to do is I would warp in, get the bookmark, warp out, get my ship, warp back to the bookmark that I've made for safe spot right here, and then warp my guys in, squad warp. As they land, I'd either, when I wanted to drain the fob, I would eject from my ship and warp in and wait 10 minutes as the fob is drained. And one of my guys targets the ship, because if you target somebody's ship, nobody except the owner can board it. So a little trick. So yeah, 10 minutes later, I warp back to my ship, or to a guy close to my ship, jump into my ship, and then warp all my guys, all my DPS onto the fob. Now, if you get in a pickle, never warp back to your safe spot. If you get aggressed by the defense fleet, do not warp back to your safe spot, because if you've, I believe if you've killed the fob, always turn your active defenses on, because these omens will just cut through you like a knife through a hot knife through butter, a red hot knife through butter. And you can't be in a pod, and you can't be in a shuttle, and you can't be in a Corvette to get the reward. Everybody on grid will get the reward. I like to launch my drones. Click on the fob. And then I'll have an up and a down. I color code them. Makes it easy. Because when you're on the fly and you want to drop and rep somebody, you gotta know quickly which ones to do it if you're in a rush. Just warning you. Yep. It'll happen. You'll get that Balgorn and you'll freaking shit bricks. Oops. Right. So at this point, I'll go keep at range. And the reason I use lowsec is because of the buffer. I have a massive buffer. If there's more than 10 Omens / Ashimus on the field, their DPS will break my tank. And my tank is insane. I've got like 95% EM. Yeah, it's just crazy. And then 88% thermal. The distribution is 50-50 once I get attacked. Watch this. So that's that, and this guy's getting attacked, and it is 50-50 for thermal and EM, and I think it's 96%. I'll go to 96 and 91%, okay? So, yeah, they'll break my tank. It's crazy. The incoming DPS is unreal. Do be aware of it when they deal with omens. Just, I'm estimating 800 DPS per omen. Yeah, it's just mental. But yeah, that's why I have the lowsec, because of the massive buffer. And plus I have large remote reps, which I can land on somebody else who needs it. God, people pop so quickly. It's crazy. Yeah, like if you forget, I mean, just watch how quick it drops. It's just freaking crazy. Oh, watch, they're switching targets, of course. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I count on. I can tank these guys, because even if they're breaking my tank with more than 10 of them, well, let's see if I'm right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, if there's more than 10, they'll start breaking your tank. And what I count on is my buffer is deep enough that they will eventually go derp squirrel and switch targets. They yeah, it's pretty silly. sometimes they kind of focus fire on you a little bit too long, and it's really uncomfortable. So that's when you start scrambling and actually doing real logistics. Yeah, it. And the other reason I use this Triglavian is because Triglavian ships, the hulls, the spawnage level for the defense fleet depends highly on the hull. It's not how many guns you have or how much DPS is listed. It's just the hull. And since the hull's base DPS is so low initially, that's why the spawnage is so low for Triglavian stuff. I've tried Drekavax. It's doable, but it's sketchy as frickin' hell. Yeah. But yeah, it's just safer, easier. Go in with Lashaks. Don't worry about it. People do it with 2 Lashaks. Takes longer. They spawn less, so it's less dangerous. It'll do it. It takes a bit longer. This takes about 15 minutes. Yeah. But yeah, that's the reason. If you go in with anything else, of course, drain that bloody fob. Use that pod, drain that fob's capacitor. See, it's drained now. See the yellow blinky. And yeah, it's a piece of cake. The omens are gonna be tough to deal with. Yeah, don't warp in nesters. I've seen people do fobs using nesters. I don't know how they do it. It's, to me, it's ballsy, but they might have a trick. I have no idea. Like the times I've recorded stuff, it looks like they're actually exploiting some mechanic. But having said that, I'm looking at something. It's a black box, and I'm guessing what's going on. But it's kind of weird when I see it. But yeah, the caveat, the point is, if you know what you're doing, great. If you know the trick they're doing, great. But otherwise, avoid nesters. You will just laugh at the amount of stuff that they throw at you. Just, yeah, you'll be like, yeah. And of course, the last very important point that I will stress is, last but not least, always have MJD. Always. And put in a slot that you can press quickly and press rapidly if you're multi-boxing. All right? It's so important. This is your get out of jail free card. Because, yeah, sure. Okay, well, all right, 1 cure, 1 Logi, no problem. Let's kill the Krur. You cannot kill the Krur at all unless you deal with a Logi. The Logi, not only have stupidly high sensor strength, so it's very difficult, like 90 sensor strength I calculated. So they're really, really hard to jam. Upwells would have a tough time jamming them. But it can be done. Sometimes there's 3 augurs. And what are you going to do then? You get a jammer. And that's what I have. I've got a backup jammer here. But the MGD is your get out of jail free. The Krurs don't scram. They've just got a long point. So no problem. What you need to realize is the defense fleet, unlike the response fleet, who slow burn at you, the defense fleet will starburst. I call starbursting, they go out, they warp out to 400 kilometers and then warp back on top of you, no matter where you've gone. All right? So it's pretty sketchy. So the fact is, if you're going to get GTFO, you need to align to a Celestial you're going to warp to soon after finishing MGD. I say soon after because the effects of being scrambled, being warp disrupted, will last until the cycle ends for it. So you might finish your MDD and try to warp, you won't warp if you're still got that effect. So do be aware of that. I lost so many ships that way. And one ship lost recently because I just plumb forgot that rule. So do be aware. Your rewards. The optimal is 10 pilots on grid, and you'll get 30 million each. If you have less than that, you'll get lesser. If you have more than that, you'll get lesser. Up to a point of the maximum income for the entire group in total is 800 million ISK total per pirate stronghold. So yeah, quite lucrative. You get that much ISK by having like a billion freaking frigates at the safe spot. And everybody on grid, as long as they're not cloaked, as long as they're not in pobs, as long as they're not in corvettes, as long as they're not in shuttles, everybody will get a cut equally right to the bank, right to the wallet. What I do is 100% corp tax. So all the income I get goes straight into my wallet in one spot. So I don't have to, well, if you got things outside of your corp, you'll have to manually transfer it, but otherwise, simple. Anyways, hopefully that was the simple, concise introduction to the most important things you need to know about fob hunting. And good luck if you go with myrmidons and stuff like that. It is doable. Remember, drain that fob, you'll be fine. If you're worried about the response fleet, send one of your friends to an asteroid belt and find the miners, and then whip around an asteroid at 500 kilometers away from it. Burn out with your mic warp drive and orbit an asteroid at extreme range, and then the slow burning response fleet will tag along behind you, trying to catch you the entire time. So you can distract the response fleet, and that'll save your bacon a couple of times. Just make sure your friend warps back to you right before the pirate stronghold blows up to get his reward. Hopefully to the safe spot so he doesn't spawn anything, but whatever. And there you go. Have a good one. And yeah, don't get complacent.